Hello, guys, and I hope that you are well. This is a breakdown of the Euro USD short that I took on. When was this? When was it? Oh, the 2nd of March. So, when was that? Oh, yesterday. Shit. Yeah, yesterday. Right. We'll go through the breakdown. And to be fair, price action has been like this for the last 2, 3 weeks or so. When we come into London, what we have is basically POIs getting violated, or POIs that get respected to a certain extent, and then there's no inception or there's no valid confirmation. And that's what I've noticed over the last couple of weeks. So this week I've only taken two trades. Yeah, this week I've only taken two trades. So this one, and I'm going to do a breakdown of the one that I took today as well, as today is the third. Obviously, I don't know when you're watching this. So yeah, to start off with a breakdown, I'll start off from where I first started looking at price, and then we go from there. So I started looking at price when we were about here. I don't know what I was doing before. I think I was swimming at that point. But when I came back, basically I was looking quite roughly at the charts at this point. Now, I I don't mind taking trades before London, like an hour before London. I don't really mind. But what I've noticed is, as of recent, is that I'll catch a trade from like during Frankfurt, which is just before London, and then when London comes, it fully reverses. Now, sometimes I could be lucky to catch my partial point. To be honest, I wouldn't really care if I traded London or not at that point, because for me, I want to basically be off the charts as soon as possible. I don't really want to stick around too long. Um, but yes, there's something I've noticed that's been happening recently. Anyway, so let's start off with what's happening with price. So what we have is we have the high, we have the low. Now, I have been following the 15-second structure. I have been flicking, so I've been flicking obviously through just to find what's clear. It wasn't purely the 15 second. It was just I was flicking straight through. But I don't know live how I was actually flicking through, like at what different points. But I know that I was following the 15-second chart for the majority of this one. So what we have is with the high, low, we have a breaker structure. Price didn't come to the POI, and then we end up breaking structure again. Then we had this first breaker structure from here, right? But then we have a low and a high and this and another low basically. I don't know why I said this, right? So we have the SR and we have the impulsive move, right? So from this section here, because remember when you're scalping, you are going from range to range. Okay, I didn't draw the ranges correctly, but you're going from range to range to range basically, yeah. So you go two rules at a time. Now, in this case, right, what we have is we have the impulsive and we have the successful retrace. Now, in this case, I don't think I need to go. I mean, I can. I might as well show you so you believe it. But there was no form of entry. I mean, yeah, fully break, fully break. So, it fully violated that. So I didn't need to do anything. Well, I couldn't do anything. So there's no point. So yeah, there's no trade there, which is fine. And this is why I say if you're scalping without confirmation and inception, you are basically taking on that higher risk, and that's completely your choice as long as you understand what it is that you're doing. Because you're basically just taking risk entries at that point, and I don't see how I don't see how that's going to work in the long run. It just doesn't. Um, right. Sorry, I pushed my mouse too far there. Right, then we broke structure again, as we can see. Then I marked out the POI. I didn't think price came to this one in the end. Why is it moving so slow? There you go. Yeah, price didn't come to that one in the end, and then we ended up breaking structure again. So here we have this low. We had a breaker structure, okay, which is from here. Was it from here? Yeah. We had a breaker structure. I don't know why I questioned that. We had a breaker structure from here. Again, I don't know why the box is gone, but there was no confirmation. Prices went back and violated and created the high. And then we had this breakdown. And this is essentially what's been happening over the last few weeks. Then what we have is this POI here. Now this one was a little bit strange. So we got this huge OB before that break. I could have obviously used one of these, but because there's a little gap there, I'll consider that as imbalance, so I marked that one out. But then what price did was completely violate it. Again, there was no form of confirmation within that. So we have the high, low, and basically we just keep following structure. Now, here what we have this breaker structure from this high to this low, and then we have this high, and then this low is forming. Now, in this case, what we have is we have two POIs. Now, if I just play this out, now you may think there was some sort of entry, but there wasn't, because what's happened here is the 5-second low was this low. So essentially, there was no confirmation, and price went crashing through. But we still had the impulsive move, because bear in mind that created the high, and then we had this low, and then we formed this new low being formed from the impulsive move. So that's the impulse, successful retrace, which was fine. And then we start entering this. So let's go to the 5-second. So from the 5-second structure, again, I think this was pretty clear, to be fair. No confirmation, but what we have here is we have this impulsive move from that goes on to break this low, and then we had come into it. Now we go to the 1 second. Sorry, if I'm speaking too fast, actually, I'll slow down. But now we go to the 1 second. So this is our inception. So if I just play this out, because I know where it goes, and you guys should have seen the screenshot and back tested this yourself. So what we have is this high being formed. Now, when this happened, I immediately looked at the 5-second and noticed that it did not violate, so it's still fine. It's just grab liquidity, which is even better, to be fair. What we have is this new high, but where did it come from? Now, remember because a lot of you get confused when a candle, how candle moves is that we have the open, then we go on to create the close. That's how price is moving within that candle, right? So that's essentially what's happening here. So this high was created from this low, all right? And then we end up breaking that. So there's a POI within that. And then we go on to create, we're still creating the low. So this one was a strange one. So we go on to create this low and then a high, and then we go into break structure. Now, with this one, so with this one, as soon as I saw this tap in, right, and that's obviously created the high, that's confirmed the pullback, right? So now what we have is this range from here to here, right? Very small range, but still valid. I immediately pressed the sell, and this one I actually done on my MetaTrader. So I took it on my laptop, and it triggered a little bit lower. Which is fine. I mean, performance-wise, I would say that I was sort of chasing this trade purely because I've been able to enter anything for a while now. As you've seen in the group, everything's just been violating and really not giving me any confirmation. I mean, EU and GU is the only one that I'm looking at. But to be honest, I sort of lean to EU, to be fair, purely because the spread is guaranteed to be zero. GU does fluctuate between 0 and like 0.2 and 3 sometimes, but yeah, EU tends to be quite nice. But anyway, I entered the sell manually, and yeah, I was triggered in. And then in terms of management, so I moved to break even. When was it? It was very quick, but I moved to break even. There was a high being formed, wasn't there? Yeah, when this high was formed, and then we broke structure again, so I wasn't too fussed. Price did come back eventually, but yeah, I wasn't too concerned. So in terms of my target, the higher time frame move, right? So in terms of higher time frame, price was already moving. Why is it there? There we go. In terms of, oh no, that's today. Tanzin, what are you doing? Oh no. No. Oh no, sorry. Sorry. That's gonna be the new video. Where's the silly boy? Hold on. There we go. This is where we were. There you go. Right. So in terms of target, I didn't really have a specific target. I mean, the higher time frame, if we go to the hourly, higher time frame was already moving bearish, but I didn't seem to have any sort of reference point. If we look at the 4 hour as well, again, There was no form of reference point again, and then you can just check the daily as well. In this case, we're still just breaking this low. The thing is, the only alarming thing about this is that when you obviously break structure, you do tend to have, because this is just grabbing liquidity and price can just shoot up. Obviously, that's just assuming. So obviously, I wasn't too fussed about that, and I did it again. Sorry, that's what I meant to do. So yeah, I didn't have a reference point, but anyway, in terms of scalps, I like to look for a 10 pip move, which is obviously a guaranteed move when you're scalping, especially at the session open. So I went for 10 pips, I closed my partial, and then whatever happened, I didn't really mind. But ideally, obviously, your target point for this trade to be a winning trade, it will be your structure point. So I went off the 15-second. So if that was my structure point that I'm trading, right, my target would be here. Now, the only thing I did monitor was this POI here, which I forgot to mention, sorry. So in terms of this, because we broke this structure, I need to be aware of this bullish intent. So although price was reacting from here perfectly as I expected, price could have easily just reacted from there as well and continued higher. So that was one thing for me to be aware of. But apart from that, there was nothing further. I mean, my minimum target should have been here. But of course, for me, that wasn't enough. I prefer to close at 10 pips purely because 10 pips is either 20R with 0.5 or it's either 10R with 1 pip, which is at the moment has been my max stop loss for a while now. So I'm quite comfortable with that. But to this trade, to be honest, there wasn't really much to it. In terms of, as I mentioned, in terms of my own performance, it wasn't the best. Purely because I mean, with executions like that, I don't think I would take them that aggressively. That was very aggressive, given the amount of imbalance there was above on that 1 second. If I just show you quickly, given the amount of imbalance we had on the POI above, it's not normal. It's not my usual thing to enter straight off that. But yeah, as I said, I think it's more I just wanted to be involved. From my own understanding and from when I'm thinking back at this time, how have I ended up on this? I don't know how I ended up there. Sorry, but yeah, there wasn't really much to that trade. But as I said, it was more. I think my psychology played a massive part into that one. But obviously, I mean, it followed the rules, which is what we should be doing. No, we shouldn't really be having doubts when we're trading, especially when we're following a rule set. If you are starting to have doubts if you are starting to have doubts in your setup, then it means you're not trusting the process enough, and you're not trusting the rules, because the rules are there to remove that whole guesswork and to remove the doubt that we may have, especially from our standard discretionary techniques. Is completely, it's completely normal. But with having a rule-based system, we should be eliminating that. So as mentioned, and something that I feel I should be mentioning in every video that I take is, so one thing to remember is my entry criteria. So my entry criteria, whoa, what's going on there? Hold on. I don't know why that's so thick. There we go. So my entry criteria is essentially, as we know, I like to go off. So what's happened here, if I just draw it, we have, hold on a sec. I'm making a mess of this. Okay, so what we have is we have intent and we have our successful retrace. We have this as our POI. We have that as our POI. I monitored the reaction on both, and price came here. And then in terms of our entries, what we had was we had intent, and then we marked out this POI. And then we did this. So exact same thing. We had our two rules, and the entry was taking off the successful retrace, which was there. that's my whole process. So as I mentioned, I like to go off the intent, but obviously in this case, the successful retrace was here, but the process is exactly the same. Now I come into every single session that I trade knowing that I am going to execute the trade like this. Now by having this, I'm only looking for this one thing. As soon as it shows, I will press the trigger. Um, Now, obviously, I'm being completely transparent. As I said, my psychology was fine. It was more I entered that one with a little bit more aggression than normal, and I felt that myself. That's the only difference from normal. But in terms of the rules, the rule set was there. I mean, it's not about I didn't lose trust in the strategy at all. It was more that I was just more aggressive than normal, right? I just thought I just had to clarify. So essentially, what we have is we have intent, and then we have our confirmation intent. So let's make this clear. This was a higher time frame. This part here. This was the confirm. And then this was the inception. Now the reason why I'm doing it like this is because I'm trying to make a picture in your minds, because I know what works for me is that what I know what works for me is that when I have this picture in my head, I know exactly what I'm looking for, and then it's more when you have that chart time and experience, you're gonna basically remember, you're gonna remember these patterns, and you're gonna remember the rule set, and it's gonna come to a point where it becomes second nature, where you're not even thinking about it. Because I mean, these boxes that I have, I mean, most of the time I'm only drawing them just for your sake. I don't really mark these out because realistically, how much time do you actually have, especially when you're following the seconds time frame? I do mark out the ones that I am interested, and I completely delete the ones that I've looked at in the past, and I've just kept these ones on for your sake. But for me, all I know that I'm looking for this picture. Now, the only variable that I have is where I'm going to incept, whether I incept rule 1 on the confirmation or rule 2. That's the only difference. But apart from that, this is my model. Now, I'm not saying this will work for everyone. Of course, we're all following the same rules, but this may be more aggressive for some people, or this may be too conservative for a few people. It's completely up to you, but you'll have to find obviously what works for you. But this is my rule set, and this is my model, and the reason why I'm incorporating it in these videos a lot more is because I feel with repetition I should be able to hopefully build your trust in a mechanical way of trading, which is what I want from you guys, because mechanical trading is absolutely amazing. I think it's the most beautiful way to trade, purely because of how simple it is by nature, and obviously the hard work of back testing and creating the strategy is already done for you. You just need to put the rules into action and execute. That's literally it. Obviously, I made it sound more simple than it is, but it really does become second nature with time and practice. And obviously, it's kind of hard if you're comparing to me. I mean, I've got 6 years of practice. I mean, this is obviously not with smart money concepts, but in terms of chart time, 6 years, it's a crazy amount of time obviously to have in front of the chart, so it's a bit different, but it will come. And if you're still in that point where you're still struggling, stick with it. We all will have these down points, and as I always say, if it was easy, obviously everyone would do it. And not I always say, everyone bloody says that, but it is what it is. It will come in time. We just need to continue to trust the process. You don't want to be one of those who gives up, then moves on to the next strategy. I would hope that Vertex can provide you guys with everything that you possibly need, because for me, I don't feel that you need to. I don't mind if you join other groups. That's not really an issue for me. It's more, I don't feel that you guys need to spend your money on other things. I feel everything you need is here, and I'm so passionate about the rules working, and I know they work, but I just want to see, obviously, you guys having more trust in the rules. But I won't waste any more of your time. This video ended up becoming longer than I expected for a very simple trade, to be fair, but I hope you took value from it, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be the trade which I accidentally showed, which was this one. Okay, I accidentally showed it, now I can't find it. Today's one. You know what? Boom. Where is it? Yeah, this one. This one. So I'll see you in that video. But for now, take care, and I hope you enjoyed.